grab your PC and mouse, because it's time to show the highlights of the PC gaming show. First up, something you wouldn't expect, you mainly expect shooters and RTSs and all that stuff on the PC. But first game I'm going to highlight from the PC game show is Dodgeball Academia. This is a colourful dodgeball sports game mixed with an RPG. You get to build your team and explore like what looks like a high school setting. And this has potential just to be fun, good, easy fun. Fun, good, easy fun? Yeah, it's dodgeball, why not? Just remember those 5 Ds, okay? Next game. Next is either a game called Rawmen or Ramen. It's hard to tell from the spelling, but you'll be able to see on the screen. This also took me a surprise. It's like a multiplayer, but colourful multiplayer game, like you imagine like Splatoon, but it's all like food themed. Now I can't tell if you're trying to cover the area of food or you're just battling out like team deathmatch, but there seems to be a lot of more verticality and a lot of like slides and where you can spray food down and roll and slide easy enough. It's definitely unique and very odd. I'm not sure what tone and who they're aiming it for, because there seem to be some references to being rude or something, or rude with food. It was a little bit confusing, but it definitely has that look of like a Splatoon or any of those like colourful smaller arena games. So I'm hoping with like the sliding about and stuff, this might have some good traversal combat as well. So we'll just have to wait and see, but it definitely was something unique in the show. Next game. Next is a sequel, a treacle? I don't know, I'm just joking. Anyway, it's Orcs Must Die free. Now I have not played an Orcs Must Die game since the first one that came on the Xbox 360. So it's a tower defense game. I think you're defending like a crystal, like a portal, and the orcs are coming and you set up traps. Now what's different with number 3 is that they've seemed to have taken that and gone bigger. There's some really cool looking outdoor areas that are much larger, bigger traps, because before it was very like, if you've ever played the first game, from what I remember, there's lots of just like corridors. It was very like, here's a straight corridor, we're going to turn this way, here's another corridor. But this seemed to have like more natural, bigger areas outside. So that might bring something interesting and having different traps in there. But it's also a bit action based as well, because obviously you can still run around and shoot the orcs. So this has the potential. The first one had a steep learning curve, so I'm hoping by this third game they'd have evened that out. But it looks like good fun and good co-op fun as well. Anyway, on to the next game. Next up is Giga Bash. Now this one caught my attention because I really enjoyed Godzilla King of Monsters on the GameCube. I had it out. This was a great 4-player multiplayer, like sort of like fighting game, but you were like free roaming environment. You could destroy buildings, you got to attack each other. This has that same look. It's colourful, it's funny, it's cartoony, and hopefully this one plays well. There was a similar game that came out on the Xbox last year, unfortunately I can't remember the name, but I couldn't quite get into that as much as I did the Godzilla one. This looks like it's more towards the Godzilla, with a few characters that clearly are references to Godzilla monsters. So this has a great potential. It looks like a nice, easy, pick up and fun play 4-player multiplayer game. So we'll have to see how they're done, but I'm definitely intrigued. On to our next game. Next up is Far Changing Tides. This just looks really calm, beautiful, mysterious. It's like a 2D platformer puzzler game, but set in like a 3D environment. It reminds me of things like Inside and Limbo. This is part from Far Sales. I can tell it's a sequel to that. Now I've unfortunately not played Far Sales yet, but it definitely looks amazing. It looks beautiful. The trailer doesn't really give much away, so I kind of put this on my list just from how intrigued I am and I like this style of game. So this one's definitely one to keep an eye on, and I will definitely have to go and check out Far Sales. So let's move on to our next game. This next choice just looks incredibly beautiful. It's got black and white style, it's a hand-drawn like kind of look to it. It's hard to describe what type of drawing is, but you can see from the gameplay it looks amazing. Now you're some type of scuba diver and you have the power to take over like the minds of other animals to solve puzzles. One shows like taking over like a fish with big teeth, like a deep sea fish, and cut the chain, and you can take over other things. There seem to be like other creatures that are trying to catch you and other dangers, you've got to try and get away. It didn't seem like there was any combat, so this is purely like using the other fish to try and help you and trying to escape. There's like a bit of a mystery. I'm not sure why he's there and tied up. So I'm definitely intrigued to see more. This just looks and sounds amazing, if not a little bit creepy. Let's check out next game. Next is Jurassic World Evolution 2. Now I'm intrigued by this because I played a little bit of the first one, but felt some things were a bit restrictive. So I've got high hopes that from a sequel they expand. It'd be nice to have like more freedom for a bigger park, more freedom how to customize it. I found like the career path last time was very restrictive in where you could build and what you could build, and it was that little bit frustrating. So this sequel could fix all these small issues I had with the first one for something even great, because the idea of having like a theme park type builder game but the Jurassic World setting is amazing. So let's keep our fingers crossed. This could have the potential to be one of the best of these type of games. We'll have to wait and see. I'm curious to see what else they add. So on to our next game. Next is a game I saw quite a while ago and was very excited for, The Wandering Village. There's just something, I love this idea about these villages on top of these massive creatures that are moving along the landscape. This showed a bit more this time with like, they seem to be like farming, so it might be like a farm sitting on top of the creature. But also when they were wandering, he was like walking towards a storm. So I'm curious to see how these huge weather storms and other things might affect the village. I'm curious to see if you've seen more wandering villages, because this just showed off the one on the back, and how much of the farm sim, and like, are you controlling one person? Do you control the creature? It's a bit of a mystery at the moment, but it looks fantastic and definitely intriguing and something different. Let's move on to our next game. So our next two games on this list, one is quite small. It is called Lumber Hill. Now, it seems to be some type of like herding animals, building bridges. There's not too much to go on. It just kind of looks cute and fun. So there's not much to say about that, but it just caught my eye as like, here's a nice one you could probably play local multiplayer. And the other game they had was Tiny Kin. This has that thing, if you've seen some other videos, that I like. 2D flat sprites, but in like a 3D environment. This seemed to have a really aspect of Pikmin to it as well. You go around, you've got these creatures who can build a ladder or use the items to knock things down. So I'm curious to see what they do with that. This could be really good if they get it right, because Pikmin series is amazing. I'm a big fan of Pikmin 3, so I'm hoping if someone else can make a game that's similar to Pikmin but with its own unique twist, it could be something special. So there you go, PC Gamer. There were so many other games as well, but I felt some kind of just felt like the same rehash or a little bit generic, or wasn't quite for me. But there's so many great titles. It would be nice to see some other titles, bigger ones. I was expecting some bigger like RPGs or some new first-person shooters that did something a little bit different, but they just weren't quite gripping me this time. And there was a lot about MechWarrior 5 as well, but that's because it sponsored the show, so they kind of mention it a lot, but that does kind of look cool as well. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what PC games you're looking forward to in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and hope you're enjoying all our E3 coverage, and we'll see you next time. Bye!